Good evening, Brandon Redmond here, Tuesday evening, bringing you a SWATCast Hurricane Irene update. Obviously, the big story the next several days as Hurricane Irene bears down on portions of the United States. First, though, taking a look at our 5 p.m. advisory, winds are down just a little bit at 90 miles per hour. West-northwest at 9 miles per hour and 976 millibar is the pressure. Part of the reasoning for the weakening is Irene is becoming slightly impacted by the mountains on the island of Hispaniola. Also a little bit of dry air feeding into the southern portion of the hurricane, and that has cut off a little bit of the strength of Irene, but I do think Irene will continue to pick back up strength late tonight into early portions of Wednesday. Satellite image shows beautiful outflow on the northern side of the storm. You can see Irene here, but on the northern side of the storm we have outflow that is extremely impressive to the north-northeast. Outflow on the south side of Irene not quite as impressive because of the fact that the dry air shunning a little bit of the growth on the southern flank of the system, and also because of the mountains here of Hispaniola disrupting some of the flow of Irene. Turks and Caicos, central and southern Bahamas, and the northern Bahamas are all under hurricane warnings this evening. As Irene slowly begins to move away from the Dominican Republic and Haiti, we do have tropical storm warnings in effect here. I would not be surprised to see some type of hurricane watch issued for portions of the east coast of the United States sometime tomorrow or during the morning hours of Thursday. Here's our SWATcast showing you the potential track of Irene. A lot of uncertainty and a big factor over the next 12 to 24 hours. Number one is going to be, when does the northward track begin? Because over the last 24 hours, Irene has continued to track almost due westerly with only a very slight northerly component. And the weaker Irene stays tonight and during the morning hours of Wednesday will determine how quickly she moves north. Weaker cyclones tend to travel farther west, where stronger cyclones tend to start getting pulled a little bit farther to the north. So if Irene really picks up in strength tonight, we'll see a northward track start to resume pretty quickly. If she remains on the weaker side, we'll probably see more of a northwest track on the left-hand side of the guidance. Taking a look at the actual track, though, that I'm forecasting right now, I do think Irene will probably max out somewhere in the area of 115 to maybe 125 mile per hour winds. But I'm estimating the track through the eastern Bahamas, getting extremely close to North Carolina, possibly making landfall around Morehead City or the Outer Banks, with the system continuing north-northeast. The northeastern part of the United States needs to be on extremely high alert as our forecast guidance continues to show a strong Category 1 or Category 2 hurricane moving into portions of Long Island and Rhode Island. It has been a very long time since we've seen a strong hurricane impact the Northeast, and if this does happen, we can expect widespread problems from the Middle Atlantic all the way through Philadelphia, New York, into Boston. The sheer fact that these areas are not prepared for hurricanes, not like the South, not like the Southeast, and the fact that we have an extremely large population center is very concerning, because Irene, number one, will be producing some very strong winds by the time she gets there, at least 85 miles per hour, maybe stronger, and producing extremely torrential rainfall, possibly in upwards of 10 inches, not to mention the fact that beach erosion would be quite strong. North Carolina, don't let your guard down, because if this system continues to wobble west and continues to not gain strength quickly, it is not out of the question that we see a full-fledged landfall somewhere here between Wilmington and Morehead City. The SWAT threat index very high across northern portions of the Carolinas, including the Outer Banks. Right now I have our threat index high from about Rhode Island, Long Island, down through the Middle Atlantic, and moderate across Rhode Island into Boston. These areas right through here will likely be upgraded to a very high threat index as we continue to see better indications of where Irene is going to track. South of about Wilmington, North Carolina, I have a moderate to low threat index, as it looks like Irene will have little to no impacts on most of the Georgia and South Carolina coast. Stay tuned to SWATChasers.com. I'm Brandon Redmond.